This podcast does contain spoilers, so if you're okay with that, listen on. If not, pause the podcast, go watch the movie we're about to talk about, and come on back.
All right, sweet.
Excuse me.
Brandon, over here. Hey.
Pardon me.
Why don't you have the popcorn? It's starting!
Woo! Hey.
Hey! Shut up. Shut up and listen to the podcast. Hey!
There's a lot out there to see. This is what we watched.
Hey!
What we watch?
Hey!
All right, and we're back. Chapter 3.
Chapter
3.
Chapter 3, episode 4.
three.
Chapter 3
And 5.
Episode 4 and 5.
/5. Okay, before we get into it, I do have something that I would like to apologize.
Oh, shit.
It is, I'm embarrassed and I feel bad for you guys, everyone that's listening. I forgot to do my mummy connection for episode
I'm
3.
hurt.
Yeah, we noticed.
I honest to God, I made a promise.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep up with it. So here we go. So
I will try to forgive you, but I'm not making promises.
So we're gonna have to go through 3 this episode, just so you know.
Okay.
So other people have to relax. So Nick Offerman was in Sing 2 with
Nice,
Matthew
yep.
McConaughey.
Yep.
Who was in The Gentleman with Colin Farrell.
Yep.
Who was in Lobster with Rachel Weisz. Who
Yep, obviously.
was in The Mummy.
Yep.
So that was a short one.
Okay,
I have
nice,
another
nice.
one that's in the short one for episode 4. The 5, it's a longer one, and I like it
Nice.
more. So
I
you
want
guys
those to come up organically.
You guys let me know. Well, if we did it like we did last chapter, it didn't. So
Exactly.
Well, the keyword will be mummy.
then I got it. That's fine. So that's fine.
Did anybody ask for their mummy?
That's fine. You guys just yell mummy not yell because not into the microphone. Say mummy to me at some point, and then that's fine. We can live with that. I'm sure. Don't do the clicker noise, and that's all it really. Oh shit.
I feel like Jeff has a hard time with what don't and stop mean.
Anyways,
Now it's awkward.
there was a situation that
You guys weren't there for it, so let me defend myself.
anyways.
Go ahead, Jeff.
No, it's okay.
Floor is yours.
Mummy.
Okay, so episode 4, Melina.
You said it 3 times. No, you need to do your episode 3 one again. I think that's what that
Episode
code
4,
was.
Melina Linsky, whatever, who's Kathleen in it, is in, I forgot, I don't know how to pronounce her actual name.
I think it's Linsky.
Sweet.
Sounds right.
So she's in Perks of Being a Wallflower with Paul Rudd, who's in Clueless with
Yep,
Donald
Wait, Paul
Faison.
Rudd's in Perks of Being a Wallflower?
Yes.
I don't remember that.
And then Donald Faison is in Scrubs, season 3, episode 14, My Screw Up with Brendan Fraser.
Oh, okay. Cool. You pointed at me, and so
I
that's-
assumed you would get it
Well,
because
okay.
it's the Scrubs thing.
I've
He's
seen
dying.
Scrubs.
It's really depressing.
yeah. Oh, it's a great.
Jeff, not everything's about you. Get over it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I forgot you were here.
All right, whatever. We're
Me
starting
too.
the episode.
Again, that's why I get this mic.
Fine. you get the shitty mic. We can tell you go stand over there.
And you get the couch to yourself.
I do. For the first day we started recording, I left like this entire thing open and no one sat there, and I was just like, all right,
Yeah, you should.
this is what it is.
Take notice of that. Okay.
Welcome to my home.
How far could exactly? Thanks again for letting us be here. How far can we go before he starts like crying?
Oh, probably a lot. Trust
don't
me.
know.
I'm much meaner to him when we go work together.
That's work.
Anyways.
Yeah, that's work,
me?
Matt.
Oh.
Yeah. You, Geoff.
Oh.
All right. Hey, I'm Matt.
I'm Brandon.
Oh, I'm Geoff. Sorry, I was readjusting.
Oh,
This chapter is going swimmingly. I like this.
Okay, so today,
Not gonna ask for my mommy.
we'll be talking about 4 and 5. Oh, we're not even to episode 5 yet, so we're not even gonna try it. I'm gonna wait for that.
Okay, cool.
We'll end the podcast on my episode 4 connection.
All right, cool. If you remember.
And just so we're gonna go into episode 4, but to get us caught up, Brandon, get us caught up.
So episode 3 was more of a one-off about 2 people loving each other for all time, and then Joel and Ellie find I guess they didn't find their corpses, but they found their house after they died, collected a bunch of shit, got the car battery installed, and then they drove off into the sunset. Now,
He did
What happens
significantly
next?
better than I thought he was going to.
Oh, interesting. You were trying to lure him into a trap.
Oh, that's
Yes, 100%. Yes, I
Constantly.
sprung that on him to see if he
Nice,
would just be
Came
All right.
prepared this time to debate you, motherfucker. That's called a reversal.
That was page 1. Ooh.
Hold on. Yeah, I gotta get past that.
Yes, that was definitely
Section
way too
of
loud.
notes.
That
Hold
was
on.
definitely way too loud.
Yeah, I definitely clipped.
Yeah, you did.
Hold on. It says laugh here. Okay, so now that we're caught up, we're into episode 4.
Well,
Please
we're gonna
hold
do-
to my hand.
Yeah, which does anyone understand why it's worded like that?
I don't.
It's
I
very
was hoping you
confusing.
knew.
The episode is called "Please Hold to My Hand," and I
Not
don't
please
understand-
hold my hand,
It's-
or not please hold on to my hand.
Wait, what is that actually called?
Please hold to my hand.
Hold, comma, to
Nope.
my hand. No, okay.
Please
and the
hold
only
to my
word
hand.
that is not capitalized is to. That bothered me more than anything
Please
else.
hold to my hand.
Really? That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a weird way to put it.
PHT.
Did we ask Craig Mason?
Yes, but he has not responded yet.
God,
We're still
he
waiting
does
on
that sometimes.
questions from episode 1 and 2. So
Yeah.
that motherfucker's never going to answer.
I mean, I did have roughly 600 questions. So he's got a lot to get through.
11 pages worth. The email was 45 pages long.
He's still writing his response to question 1.
That's why there's a writer's strike.
Please,
Everyone pause everything because I need to
I will be
respond.
responding to this after the writer's strike. I'm sorry, Brandon, but I will get being paid to do this.
No pen goes into my hand at this time.
There you go. I like that.
He's writing a pen.
Speaking of the writer's strike, did you guys know that season 2, it is confirmed, and season 2 is put on hold because of the strike? The studio wanted to have actors audition by having them do scenes from the video game. Scenes from
Oh,
part
interesting.
2.
So they're still trying to move forward while the strike's going
No,
on.
well, they decided not to do
They
that.
decided
though.
to stop.
They were
I see,
going
I
to
see.
do that, and then they decided not to.
Interesting. Auditions, I'm trying to think of for which characters that they haven't already introduced. Probably, well, I guess, did they already?
Let's not get into
Sorry.
spoilers. Let's not get into spoilers
Well,
for season 2.
Yeah, never mind.
I've only
Yeah.
downloaded it. I have not started it yet. I know.
So today we decided to do 4 and 5 together because, again, it's another long arc. Where, like, honestly, shut up. Honestly, episode 4, pretty boring, personally.
You think so?
I thought so. We
Okay,
got
okay.
very minimum things to do. Like, I understand there was the one fight, and then that was about it. It was a huge setup for episode 5. And episode 5, it might be one of my favorites. But episode 4, we had very minimum.
It's a lot of setup.
But we start off with like the post-apocalyptic road trip. It's so interesting that I feel like in these episodes now, at least this episode, Joel and Ellie are like the bright spot in all of this, and like they're like this weird family. And we get so like kiddish. Like she starts off with playing with the gun in
It's
the
like she's
mirror.
literally playing with it. It's incredible how excited that makes her.
Well, yeah, it feels very childish, and also it confuses me because like, does she not have seen so much violence and death in her life so far? I feel like it wouldn't be a game anymore.
She's still a kid. Like that's what's interesting about it to me is that yeah, she's using this weapon, but she's still right. She's still a kid, and she's still trying to have an innocent outlook on the world. Really.
Yeah. Well, she's also been really intrigued by a lot of like machines and tools throughout history and whatever.
Yeah.
You know, like you talk about space and like the truck, the airplane, stuff like that. She's just intrigued by all these
But I feel like,
technological things.
Right, the advancements that aren't actually around anymore.
I feel like the gun. She's not like necessarily like, oh, I need to make this okay, or I need to like play up this. I think it feels like she's a normal kid standing in front of a mirror playing with like a toy water gun or something. Like, oh, I'd be so cool. I would be killing these people.
Agreed.
And when you just saw like a bunch of dead people.
Well, she looked up to Joel. I mean, she looks up to him in that way because
But Joel
he
doesn't
can
do that.
No, but he can protect her. So by that, using that logic, it makes sense to me why she would want to, feel powerful by having a weapon.
But it doesn't.
But also, like guns are so like in this world, guns are so prevalent and important. And to not be able to have one and then finally get your hands on one's kind of probably got to be exciting, especially as a kid.
Yeah.
And they're not playing with water guns in this kind of world, so it's like just having this neat new tool and thing is just like it's like I'd probably be playing with it too.
Well, and because they're so ubiquitous, I don't think she takes it as seriously as she should.
Well, that's why I think it's weird that she's not taking it serious when you see what they do and all the death and horrible things that happen around you, and then you're taking this thing of that you've seen so much violence and like, you know, your girlfriend dying and all this stuff, and she didn't necessarily get shot and all that stuff, but like it's clearly this death that you see everywhere, and you're like, gangster, pew pew pew.
I mean,
like
it's a really
pointing
interesting
at
choice,
herself,
right? It's
like,
a really interesting choice, and I don't know exactly what it speaks to, but I like that there is that.
I do think they were trying to make the two of them more of a family. I believe not just like develop their relationship, but then running into Sam and Henry and Kathleen and Ben, whatever it was, the dead dude's name, whatever. We'll get to there.
Okay. Oh, Brian.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And then running into them, they wanted them to feel like more of a family, because even beyond her feeling like childish with the gun, she goes out there and then he's siphoning gas, and then she asks questions he doesn't know. Does such a dad thing where
he's such a dad.
He just makes it up.
I mean, that makes sense to me, right? Because pressure. Sure. Yeah. It's a good enough answer.
It
but
just does what it does.
Yeah, I know it works. That's the important thing.
Vacuums and shit.
Right? Does that not sound like all of our dads?
Absolutely.
Sounds like what I'd fucking say.
You know.
You're already a dad.
You're
though.
an old man.
Yeah. Jesus. Wow.
I mean that, as it sounded. I mean that as it sounded.
Even beyond that, like even like with her doing the dad jokes, which finally started, which I think is fantastic.
But that was part TOO. I thought is that the first time she's pulled out that book?
I don't remember it.
I think in the show, it's the first time she brings it out.
Yeah, I was going to say, I believe because I know she gets it when we have the flashback in the future, when the flashback in the past, she has it. She gets it from her.
Yes.
But then up until then, I haven't seen it.
Gotcha.
So she definitely has it, but she hasn't been whipping that out.
So what's this aversion to puns? Is it because they're so cheap? Is that what it is? Why people don't like puns? Or
I like puns.
Right, I do too. I think that they're silly jokes, but like.
Sorry, I just really like Jeff's quiet. I like puns.
Nobody likes puns. I do.
I like puns.
It's okay. I also think of myself as a nobody. So I'm with you.
I agree. You both are nobodies.
See,
so even like
so mean.
So then they get into the car. She's even sitting in the back seat, like the the kid in the family, and the parents are in the front seat.
Yeah.
The kids are in the back seat.
She's very very curious too, like a child.
They go camping, which is fun family activity. We do get to see some more fear from her. She's like afraid to go to sleep a little bit.
Well, that's because Joel scared the shit out of her right before. Hey, let me tell you some ghost stories. Go to sleep. Good luck. Believe in you.
What were the ghost stories?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Ghost stories, but it was more of.
He's like holding the flashlight up again under his face.
Well, he's like instilling. That'd be funny. Instilling, knowledge and trying to keep her alive. And survival in this, but which again I think is a parent-child thing.
I 100% agree. It's just more about he's teaching Ellie to be afraid. What?
He's teaching her how to be alive.
How to stay alive, exactly. Right. But it's to stay alive, you need to be afraid of people.
Right.
You need to not trust people, and you need to kind of look at the world with the worst expectations. And so this bubbly personality starts thinking about, what if there are people out there like. Fuck, I'm alone. it's just you and me.
Right.
There's
well,
nobody else here.
He's been one of those bad people.
Exactly.
So he knows what's up. And he pulled a very dad move too, in terms of being like, all right, time to go to sleep. And then he pretends to go to sleep, and then he's just up all night guarding.
Well, because then he's in his own head. Because he scared himself
a little bit,
into
but
it.
then also, I think
he knew he was going to do that.
I think he was also trying to pretend that everything's okay to get her to go to sleep.
Oh, it absolutely was a lie to me and tell me everything's okay.
Yeah, but that's
absolutely.
the opposite of instilling fear in her, and then he turns around and tries to calm her down and not instill fear. It's just kind of the reverse of what Joel just did.
Yes, but I agree with you. I don't think he thought that through. I think that he was, like you said, trying to protect her long-term survival. I need to make sure you need to know how to survive in this world. You need to worry not just about the infected. Not everything is about the infected at this point. When we're out this far and we're alone, you got to worry about everybody else. People are more frightening than these monsters that are running around and tearing people apart.
Well, that's a key element of this episode and following into the next episode as well, is that some people, people in that world are very dangerous too. Like, again, Joel has firsthand experience in partaking in some of the worst things that people have done to each other in this world. And then you take a look at that Fedra location to where the rioters and the people uprised and what it actually turns into when the government fails or switches.
And it's an allusion to what's going to happen later, in a few episodes when we get deeper into the woods and Ellie is out there, hunting and trying to keep Joel alive. It's an allusion to remote people are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of foreshadowing.
Totally.
As well.
I mean, they're showing different elements of what happens with different groups of people, right? You have the government trying to establish some sort of society. Then you have the other side of it where the people uprised against the government and what that'll look like. And then you have the other one where it's a remote society, almost cultish, one would say, and what happens with something like that. Like there's different key elements of what people and humanity can become. And even including the town that Tommy's in and everything too.
Right.
There's different styles of what different communities can end up being in this type of world.
Yeah. And so when you tell a 14-year-old, 12-year-old, 8-year-old, however old she is, when you tell, when you want me to list all the ages?
2-year-old.
1,
Toddler.
2, 3, 10,
Trying
14,
to scare toddlers.
82. When you scare somebody like that, then you have to, make sure, we're fine.
Well,
I will protect you. But now this means I have to stay up and actually protect.
That's a good point. I'll move on. So
back to that forest scene.
No, you will not.
Well, I just want to progress.
Yes, Brandon, too.
The little thing that we'll move forward with.
Tiny Brandon.
That
was a height joke for people who don't know you two. So.
whatever. In the forest scene, one of the things I did like the most out of that too was the pun that she does say in it. It's the joke that says, "Why did this scare?" Well, first off, she starts by, "It's like, Joel, I got a serious question," and he's like, "What?"
I love actors acting.
Yes,
acting like they're it's like meta acting. It's
yes.
like they're already acting as a character. Then that character is acting even more in the universe.
Yep.
I love
she did a great job. She's just like, "Yo, Joel, I have a serious question." He's like, "What?" And she's like, "Why did the Scarecrow get an award?" And and then his he just realizes it, but then
he knows it.
Yes, but then he nails it. He's because his answer was
because he's outstanding
because he was outstanding in his field, and she's just like, "You fucker!" And this was that was another little stepping point to leading up to that last one to where he actually breaks.
Well, I mean, and I understand her frustration because I mean, I equate that to sharing
he rolled
memes.
over and smiled a little bit, right?
A little bit. Very subtly.
Exactly. I'm sure he also got joy out of, haha, I know this.
Yeah.
I'll show you. But, it's also frustrating, trying to share things with people and they've already seen it, already know it,
But I love that for their progression in their relationship because in the beginning of the episode, the first one, he's just like, fucking whatever.
She's outright.
Yes. And then this one, he's just like, he nails it and shit. Then it's just a really cute moment.
And then by the third one, he actually laughs.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's a really good arc for that.
I did want to ask before we get too much further, what did you guys think about the depiction of the decay and the ruin of the world around them, like the empty amusement park and the bridge, the train bridge with the cars halfway falling down? What'd you get? Did you?
I like that aesthetic.
I was gonna say, nice. I think if I remember,
beat up love sign.
Yeah.
If I'm remembering correctly, because the last time I watched this episode was maybe a month ago at this point. But I remember I liked the aesthetic. I thought it was fine because it was mostly in those wide establishing shots, I think, while they're driving.
Yeah.
But I remember it also feeling a little CG-ish, which obviously it was.
Right. I mean,
but I don't know.
World's biggest production budget.
But I mean, that's basically what I thought of it.
Cool.
What do you think?
I had to pause it multiple times because I was just
picking out the little details. Yeah.
Well, yeah, not to nitpick or anything because I really thought that they did a great job with projecting what would happen with the decay, with the cars being green and not just kind of dirty. Nature is starting to reclaim everything. Things are still standing, but in ruin, and you can just kind of clearly see these things. And we just get multiple different aspects of it. And I just really enjoyed.
Totally. It reminds me of, have you guys seen that show Sweet Tooth on Netflix?
I have not.
It's post-apocalyptic, but a lot of the same thing. Same thing with I Am Legend too. That is a thing I feel like that would happen is the plant and nature and everything starts to take back over the city.
Absolutely. Well, there was, I think it might have been History Channel or possibly Nat Geo or something. There was a show basically about that, what happens after the apocalypse and how, the first thing that happens is, it was if humans just disappeared, nature would reclaim everything and reuse, the buildings and the cars and shit that's there.
Yep.
So they sleep, they wake up, and then they get back on the road. Another great. I personally like the cliche edit joke of I'm not even tired, and then smash cut to her passed out, and then we're able to jump way into the future. Granted, this is the first of it, I feel like, but how long have they been on the road? Because it feels like really quick. Because they didn't leave Boston until the end of episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 3 had a little bit of them walking and then driving in the car, and they've already made it to Kansas City in an episode.
Right. So what you're saying is they walked the same distance in an episode's gap that they drove.
They are
in an episode's gap.
More happened while they're walking and less happened while they're driving. Right?
They booked it. I don't know. There's somebody going 150 miles an hour down this highway.
Would you not? Would you not just floor it?
No, I would not, because if I crash in the post-apocalyptic at this time, I'm gonna die.
That's true.
Who's fucking saving me?
Did it not bother
There's
you that
potholes all over the place?
Exactly. He was driving, and he also.
Well, that's what I'm saying is I wouldn't go 150 miles.
That's
like
fair.
he said.
That's fair. That's fair. Would you also not keep your eyes on the road the entire time you're driving? Because I feel like Joel doesn't look at the road a lot while he's answering Ellie's question. Or while he's waiting, listening to her ask things.
Are you calling him a bad driver?
I'm calling him a distracted driver.
I think he trusts
even without a cell phone.
I think he trusts the truck driver who's got the car on the bed of his truck that they're driving.
Ha! That's a production joke.
Or they're in a studio and it's all just
reference.
projection and moving.
I would like to
images.
know. I couldn't tell.
I feel like it's on a truck. I feel like it's on a trailer. That'd be my guess.
I don't know, because they're doing CG on all of it anyways.
Yeah, but they have the landscape there. So use
Do they?
Yeah. I mean, they're in Canada, shooting
Well,
stuff.
that's what I'm saying. Or don't travel to Canada and do all this, put all this money in. Just do it in a studio that everyone gets to be at home. And
it looks not CG'd, but that's my
It's
guess.
harder to tell when the shallow depth really makes it fall off in the background, and then projection looks like more organic than say like an LED wall or something like that.
You can really tell when you watch it on your phone in your car. That's when you can really tell.
I don't get that reference. I choose not to get that reference.
Okay, so then they get to Kansas City, and then we have the first, and this is, I feel like, I mean, they have a big, this is the Joel and Ellie big fight scene and everything, and then after this, I feel like it really gets turned over to the city, the story of the city, and all the people in it, and Joel and Ellie are still very, very, very involved. But it feels like they're maybe more side characters than anything. Once we get past this ambush, more or less.
Right.
And frankly, I would like to, right off the bat, say, if there's the guy in front of me who's like, oh, I'm hurt, and Joel knows, oh, this is a trap.
Yeah.
Go backwards.
That's exactly what I was going to say. So yes, they will chase you, but they can only get so far on foot, and I don't think they're going to be wasting resources going after one truck.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
There's also something in that scene particularly that I like better in the game. It's the line delivery that they do, because Ellie's just like, they see the guy that's hurt in the street, and Ellie's like, are we going to help him? And then in the game, Joel goes, he's not even hurt. And then he floors it and hits the guy. Whereas in the show, I think he just says
he says just no.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, that line didn't hit the same at all for me. And
I love the short answer, because then you see the dude throw the towel off or whatever he had over it and lunge out of the way, insinuating that he's not hurt. I personally
kind of like the video game. Because what my first thought is, because I obviously didn't play the video game, is we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And we got to trust Joel that he's correct.
But that's the thing. I love that the game, he says that line, because that alludes to the fact that he knows he's done that shit before.
Correct. And then once he hits him with the car, we'll never know. We'll never know if he really was hurt or not.
In the game, they start shooting back.
In the game.
In the game.
In the game, he hit him with his car?
I'm pretty sure. He floors it, and then the guy starts shooting, and then he hits the car, and then the brick thing, and...
Well, first, that
cinder block.
Yeah, that cinder block brick thing, they're lucky that didn't smash through the fucking window.
Mm-hmm.
But do you remember if in the game Joel explains that he is, he's been on both sides?
Yeah, because he alludes to it for sure. He tells...
But like in the show, at the end of this episode, do you remember if in the game he does the same thing? Because I think that's a good tweak if it's not the exact same.
I know for sure in the game he's explained that he's been, he explains it in different ways to the extent of, we did what we had to do to survive.
Right. Okay.
And
So he's just alluding to it.
Yes.
And in the show, he actually explicitly says it, and so that's the change that I like.
Yes.
And
I don't
from the game
mind
to
that.
the
I
show.
just liked that one line delivery. Like I just liked it better from the video game.
All right.
But we'll leave it up to the listeners to decide. Send your votes in now.
I'll be the deciding factor. I choose not to vote. So
I
then
think he sided with me. But
shut up. I haven't played the game, so so then
So
they
he sided with me.
they crash. And, I decided with,
technicality.
you both suck. They crash and then they get ambushed, and then there's the fight when they get out of the truck and they're pinned down, and Joel says to Ellie, "Oh, I see there's the hole in the wall. I want you to run. You have to, immediately she does trust him, like from the get go."
Yep.
Which is interesting.
Well, it also goes back to the other episode where he says, "What I say goes."
Yep.
Right. What you do what I say when I say, and this is where that comes into play. Of I need to listen to him because I do fully trust him. We don't need to explain why or
in the
anything.
heat of the moment, but not because she took the gun. Even though he said not to, she still does stuff that he explicitly says not to.
Right.
Well,
but in the heat of the moment, she definitely.
But even
bullies
in that
him, too.
situation, he told her to go in there and not come out until it's done.
Yes, that is true.
And
also.
then she comes back out when he needs the help, even though he
Thank
told her
God she
not
did.
to. Yes,
Yeah.
thank God she did.
Yeah,
Like Joel
that's true.
needed the help, but
we get a little peek of he's obviously a incredible fighter, great shooter, small.
He's an
thing.
okay shooter.
I think when he popped up and shoot the dude in the fucking head.
He didn't kill himself because he tried to shoot himself in the head. He explained while they were walking that he misses all the time.
Yeah. So when he hits somebody in the head from that distance while being shot at, I think that's incredible because he missed all the time.
That one, okay, gotcha. I would
he's
say
a
that
better-
one shot is incredible.
Oh,
he's a better shooter in the game when I'm playing him.
That is very true. That is
I
very
have
good point.
control of him.
That is a
So
very
many
good point.
headshots.
And I think those are pretty much standard NPC dialogue lines
Yes,
that they're throwing out.
totally, yeah.
I really want to know if they're
they say the
ripped
names. They're
directly
like
from the game.
Well, Craig, whatever name. They're just
Come
like,
on out.
Yeah, they're just like, and then he shoots someone. They're just like, oh no, Edward.
Small thing that drives me crazy, and this is beyond the video game, but they do in the video game, is you attack people and then they defend themselves and kill somebody, and then they're like, "How dare you?" What do you think was going to happen?
Yeah.
They're going to be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry. Let me surrender real
Right.
quick."
Well, that entire sequence was just fucking relentless too. It was really intense. We got in the car. We got in, while he's driving, and then crashes. It was very unforgiving.
And then we got a little bit of a peek of he is getting older.
Yep.
Yep.
We
And
do
he
know.
said
We
that
heard
too.
later he is 56 years old.
Yep. Confirmed.
We mentioned it. We were discussing in the
How old we
previously.
thought he was.
But he is getting a little bit older because he missed the guy coming in the back door.
Yeah.
And then that's when Ellie comes out and does save his life.
Yep.
She shoots really low. I feel like Joel would have gotten shot. She shot very low with the dude laying on top of him. So I was like,
She's
Movie magic.
Yeah,
no, I agree.
getting real lucky.
But yeah,
That
we got the
was-
first of her violence, at least that we've seen of her.
Yeah.
Because I believe
Besides
she.
stabbing the one infected.
Yeah, but I don't call that really violence necessarily. That feels more like curiosity and experimental than anything,
okay.
I'd
rather
agree with
than
that.
I'm going to end this person's life possibly.
Right. Well, I think this is the first time that she's actually taken a human's life, like a live person.
Yes,
I don't know. She says that it's not her first time.
Well, first kill,
Yeah,
she's
she
killed
also doesn't
infected.
technically kill.
Yeah, she didn't kill him.
She
Well,
that's debatable because she probably does blame herself to some
And-
extent.
Oh, she probably does.
If
but-
they left her, he would have died. He would have died if they left him too. But still, that's
or at least been paralyzed.
Because even right after that scene though, right? She shoots the guy and then it turns into that whole scene of him trying to plead for his life.
Oh my god, that was
and
that was so.
Joel tells her
fucking-
just to go back behind, don't
way
don't
that-
watch, and she's freaking
the
out.
way
mom's
that Brian
close.
was begging, the way that he's bargaining anything, how much he keeps saying, "I'm sorry,
Yeah.
sorry, I fucked up. Please."
his name was Brian.
Just yes, just not
Not the Brian, just a different Brian.
correct.
Okay.
What do you mean the Brian?
I thought Brian was who's the younger brother of Kathleen.
That was Michael.
Because I was
Yes,
referencing that
that's right.
earlier, and you were like Brian.
Oh, that's who you meant.
the
Okay,
other
no, no.
common name.
Yeah.
That was so confusing.
But I
Sure, it's not
yeah,
Matt.
Probably.
but I don't want to take away
Mike.
from that moment because it And then and then Brian starts begging for his mother right before Joel kills him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was
Stabs
not
him
just
in the heart.
And that was the
just
cool
heartbreaking,
thing.
but
Oh my god! Well, so, this makes me sound like a psycho when I say
Yeah,
that cool thing.
when he's like, "Oh, that was heartbreaking."
Well,
And then you're like stabs him. And I'm like, that's so cool. No,
because it humanized them.
yes, but no. I thought the thing that I was going to explain that was cool is that they didn't actually show him do anything. Like he was holding. I think he was like holding the gun, and then he takes the knife,
he
but then
takes
they
the
cut
knife.
away. They don't show anything, but you don't hear a gunshot, and you're just like,
Yep.
fuck.
Yep.
He
stabbed
took
this
this,
motherfucker.
like he took the.
Also, it was the
crazy-
knife that he tried to give up to save his life. He was
Yes.
like, "Here's my knife.
Yes.
It's a really good
Yeah,
knife."
he grabbed it from him,
And
and then you
then-
don't hear the gunshot, and you're just
Nope.
like, fuck.
No, because
dude.
and the
that was dark.
They talked
Yes.
about this in the creator podcast. Was why waste a bullet?
Yeah,
You're
I mean,
already in
100%.
firefight. There's all right.
In a logistics point, like from like a zombie apocalypse, it's like save the
And at the-
bullets
and
and
at
the
the very
sound.
least, it's loud.
Yeah, and
that's
it's
what I was
loud.
gonna
It'll
say.
attract people. Exactly.
Yeah, like
Why
I get
draw
it,
more
but-
attention?
but that was
infected.
dark for sure.
It was haunting. But what it did is it really made you think about what does it take to survive and whose life is worth it, right? Just because we're following Joel and Ellie, you root for them to survive. But if we were in Kathleen's camp the entire way, and then these two come through, you will absolutely hate Joel and Ellie from that side.
Yeah,
and it's this perspective that it really, grounds everything.
How far are you into The Last of Us Part 2? Because that's very
I
thematically
have downloaded it.
okay. That's very much a thematic element of the entire game.
Yeah, I was gonna
Perspective.
I was gonna say this whole episode to me felt like it was very much a different sides of perspective, like what you're willing to do for family. Is it worth it? Like who really is worth it and all that
Right.
stuff. I do wonder if it is a little nod or like setup kind of for 2, because I've heard it's much more about revenge, which this does have a lot of revenge in it. But it's interesting to me. Because I want to get into more of a generalized of Kathleen's character, because I feel like after this is over, which is a dramatic scene. He also doesn't do a great job of comforting Ellie. She almost kills the dude or whatever, crawls through. She starts to cry and then immediately pulls back the tears, straightens up, and it's like, we're still in survival mode.
Right.
Yep.
We have
to get out of
pushing.
this first.
We need to focus. We'll deal with mentally, emotionally deal with this later.
But then that leads into another like actually beautiful scene of when they actually do get to a safe point, and then Joel teaches her how to use a gun.
Honestly, the whole time, still trying to be the father-daughter whole thing. It's getting really, really like layered on. He's teaching him how to hold a gun, to survive. All
the
of
right
this
way
stuff.
to do it and the right way to
she's-
survive.
And she's so excited and happy about it too.
And again, you get that laugh out of her because she's still a kid. She's still got this innocence left. It hasn't been completely sucked dry.
I mean, you can, and it's just another one of those moments where their relationship is continuing to build, and you can just see those little moments happening, and it's really nice.
It really is. It really is.
Despite how gruesome the circumstances are. It's like, now that you shot this person and I just stabbed this person and it was very gruesome.
Now
let's have a
proven to
touching
me.
moment. Let me teach you how to shoot a gun for realsies, so you can kill a person next time.
And then she immediately
Kill him next time.
and then she immediately throws all of that training out the window and just is wildly shooting behind her when she's running at the end of the next episode.
Immediately puts the gun in her pocket instead of the bag.
Yep. Shoot your damn ass off.
She kind of listens to him, kind of doesn't.
Yeah.
But in the
Shoot
heat of the
your ass
moment, heat of the moment, she definitely decides to trust Joel.
Yep.
So all this leads up to, which I think is then like, that's where like the line happens kind of, and then we turn into, I feel like the rest of this episode and next episode is almost mostly about the city, about Kathleen and Kathleen and Michael's relationship, and then Henry and Sam's relationship also. But we get introduced into Kathleen. We don't get all the backstory
We get
right
enough,
away.
though.
But I kind of want to just talk about as a whole her character, and because I think it really felt like Henry and Sam, and then Kathleen and Michael were all different like versions of Joel and Ellie, kind of.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
different because like Henry felt like he was the person that was kind of slowly turning into Joel, where it's like he wasn't doing necessarily horrible things like Joel, but he gave up Michael to save himself and his family.
He's
which
gonna
is
do
most
whatever it
important.
Well,
takes
no,
to
in a way,
survive.
they're like mirror versions of each other.
Yes.
But in different ways.
Yes, in different extremes.
Like maybe even in different timelines of sequence. Like Henry's not quite to the point where Joel has gotten to like what he'll do,
because he hasn't just had the opportunity to do the kind of things that Joel has had to do to survive.
Like you can look at it a bunch of different ways, but yes, they are like very similar of each other.
And then I would argue Kathleen is Joel in the last episode. If you were to once they get all together, the relationship builds between Joel and Ellie. If you were to kill Ellie, that's what Joel's going to turn into.
Oh, absolutely.
Heat sinking, revenge. That's all I care about.
Stop at nothing.
And stop at nothing to burn the city to find the one person that hurt
you guys need to play both games. You need to play the part 2. Like,
I agree.
Oh my gosh.
And you need to stop talking about it.
It's so hard, man.
I understand.
It's so hard.
But yeah, no. So that I love that in this. So it's interesting that we went from episode 3, which was a true one-off, right, isolated story, to now it's going to take 2 episodes to tell this arc. And it's interesting that right after a oneer, we get a two-hander. Because you can't have one without the other with it to have everything make sense. Because like Matt said, we get a little bit up front of backstory and who these people are, but then the next episode really explains it, helps solidify and anchor why we would care about this arc.
Right.
And part of what I love about it is we get so much by the end of it. We're really invested in these characters. And it was my assumption that these new characters, because they're new characters, Kathleen and Perry and that group are new characters from the game. So it's I was assuming that they were going to be, at least a couple episodes longer or, more involved throughout the rest of the story. And I love how quickly we're invested and then how quickly they're just gone.
Yeah. Well, there's also an interesting distinction between, again, the game and the show in that sense that my impression from the game was that they weren't I could be wrong, but that they weren't an uprising in the city, but I thought they were raiders, because in the game, you go into one of the buildings and you see that they've they've turned the city into a trap zone. Yeah. And they just take anybody that comes through and they'll kill them. They'll take their clothes, resources, food, whatever, and then that's just how they live.
Well, I mean, we saw a little bit of that with the trap, like at the very beginning. Because if you're having an uprising, why are you setting up traps to just kill and take everything from a stranger coming through? Yeah.
And then that's the other thing too. That's a big difference from the game and the show too. Is that Henry and Sam? Is that right?
Yes.
Henry and Sam aren't being hunted by the uprising. They are in the same position as Joel and Ellie. They just were trying to pass through and they got trapped in this city. So that's a big distinction.
And Sam's not deaf.
Yes,
also.
that is correct.
Which is I think it was a good.
I think
it
was cool. Yeah,
great change because and let's talk about the character's age is different.
Yep, that too.
Sam is now Sam is relying on Ellie, so she gets the first taste of what it means to truly lose someone who was counting on you to save them.
Right.
And so then, she's now starting to change, transform into Joel or a version thereof.
Right. And that's interesting, right? Because in the video game too, Sam and Ellie are kind of like the same age in the video game.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit different of a dynamic, right? They almost could be like they're becoming friends, or like even if they were to know each other longer, could have maybe turned into like a little like romantic kid relationship thing or whatever.
Okay.
But in this show, it very much was that like almost like little brother kind of relationship dynamic.
Exactly. Which is
it's interesting.
So we got the small introduction to Kathleen, all the relationships, which we'll talk about more when we get to episode 5. Because then we're almost to the end of episode 4, and when so they're hiding, and even we get a glimpse of Kathleen, how obsessed she is with Henry when somebody kills some people, and she immediately twists it to, well, clearly this was Henry calling Mercs to come in. I'm like, that makes no sense, even to me, and I don't even know who Henry is. Right. And it's like, I'm aware.
Well, that's one thing that almost bugged me the most about the whole Kathleen introduction or just her character. She was so hell-bent and obsessed on Henry, and almost too much, even though I get like the fact that she's like, she blames him for her brother dying, but it was a little much, and especially from that actress. Like,
yes. We'll talk a little bit more about Kathleen right now. Personally, I didn't love it because her acting was okay. I didn't feel like she fit the role necessarily. I didn't really have much sympathy, which we'll get to in episode 5. But like, even like a leader. She didn't feel like a leader to me at any point.
Like, I get what they were trying to go for. They
Yes.
wanted this soft-spoken person that turned into like a really dark
you
place.
can see this and stuff, but
it just didn't. It didn't feel like
it
it
didn't
fit.
personally grab for me.
Yeah.
So it was the same as like, but I'm with you and like, get over it, lady. You're gonna get an entire city killed over this. And he's like, I get that you're upset, and I'm sure we'll get to it at the end of the last episode. But get the fuck over it, lady. You're gonna get everybody killed for nothing.
I'm surprised she didn't have them all make picket signs saying "fuck Henry."
Yes,
and
exactly.
walking around,
running around.
Well, it's interesting that you say that she didn't fit the role because
I didn't think she fit the role.
I know it's interesting because they set out to have somebody who was, could have been like a kindergarten teacher.
No, right. I understand what they're going for.
I think they got what they wanted out of her.
I
just personally, it didn't feel like it fit for me.
It didn't hit for me.
Yeah.
What didn't fit what? Because she wasn't a leader. She talks about that, and not in this, right? So we're getting a little bit astray. But she talks about she's not a leader. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
I don't know how to
so
do
this.
this.
Yet she is the leader.
Right. She's pushed into this.
So that's why it feels so out of place. Like, why the hell is she the leader? Especially when she's not even doing anything intelligent or good for it. And yet everybody will endlessly follow her, no question. One tiny question at one point.
Right.
But I just didn't like that character role that they set up. I did not like it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. For me, it just didn't feel like it fit. Like again, I know what they were going for with like the soft spoken, like nice character that also turned into a dark place. It just felt like it was so contrasting, almost too contrasting for me to really believe it. I guess
she never felt threatening to me personally.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So
I'd maybe say that's
it was too far in the middle. I didn't feel sympathy for her because I thought she was just insane and kind of annoying and everything. And then I never felt threatened for her, by her. Like the most was when she, killed the doctor in there, which, was a powerful scene. But like the scene itself kind of was powerful despite her to me personally.
Really? Because it's all about her hoping that I found that she was hoping that something would interrupt because she was ready, didn't want to kill the doctor, and then she went out and dealt with them coming back. And
I didn't get that vibe personally.
And then she asked, well, what if I had a doctor, right? What if we had someone who knew how to save someone's life? Is he going to live? Give me a reason not to kill this person. Well, without a reason, fuck it. I'm going to kill this person. They're useless to me.
I didn't get that
I think that was a
vibe.
fit of rage, like that she went in and
No, I think that she was
killed him.
absolutely determined. And she hesitated the entire time of, you think I won't? You think I'm not going to do this? I will show you that I'm going to kill you.
I think she was trying to make a point out of that.
Yeah, I think for her priority was Henry. So it was like, why would she kill if she could convince him to give her Henry?
Right. And then because he wasn't going to give Henry up.
Well, nothing changed from when she left the room saying she decided not to kill him and then left. But then nothing changed for the character, for like the doctor.
Because she was going, she didn't want to, doesn't mean that she's not going to. She just hesitated because she's fighting something internally. And that's what I thought made her an interesting
I think
character.
I get where you're coming from to the extent of she's like threatening to kill him and stuff, but then he's the only doctor around that could actually help people if they're hurt. But then I don't think she initially had intentions to kill him in that moment, but then she went outside and something happened to Brian, the kid. And then she was like, is this something that the doctor can help with? Like, we have a doctor. This person is still useful.
Right.
And they're like, no. And then she was like,
then he's useless
fuck
to me.
this. Yeah. And then
I
think it was a fit of rage to me, but
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know. That's how I saw it.
I think that she
because
used it as
another
fuel.
person close to her died, so she's angry.
I don't know if any of them were necessarily close to her, but it was more of, fuck, this is how my leadership is going to start. I need to now show that I am assertive and powerful.
Well, was she not blaming Henry for that happening?
But then she came
so
and
she
went,
just,
you know
again,
what?
a fit of rage. She's like, shit's just building.
But that wasn't her justification. It was to everybody else, hey, remember, you know the guy who I'm hell-bent on finding? You know the guy who I'm obsessed with? This is why I'm obsessed with him. That's what she's doing with that.
But she didn't even kill the doctor in front of anybody.
No, but she did that for herself.
See, I to me it just anyway. We can't spend the whole episode here.
Mommy!
So we're not to 5 yet.
Oh, sorry.
You guys burned 4 already. You guys burned 4 already. So now you got to do it in 5. All right. So she kills the doctor.
Yep.
But then she focused back on Henry. Sends everybody go door to door.
Yep. Sweep the town.
Correct. And then Joel and Ellie are avoiding them perfectly fine, easily, with no problem whatsoever. This amazing army, and then goes to the highest.
It's a citizens army.
the
It's
whole-
not really. They're not trained soldiers.
The
They're-
whole the tallest building, which totally makes sense to me. Henry also had the same thought. It's weird that the leader didn't have the same thought either.
Well,
She's
I
not
don't
a
think-
leader.
Exactly. She's not. But
Which
that's
I
the
don't know
whole
why
point.
they would force her into it, because she shows no
Because she's
leadership.
the sister of the brother that was supposed to be
Yep.
the leader.
Yep.
Yeah,
and the
but
way I took it,
That feels like a stretch for an entire army and new city to be like, you know what? She's
the
related
way that
to
I
this
took
guy.
it is because she's unhinged. So with
Yeah, but like-
her brother dying, she's gonna do whatever it takes to avenge his death, and that was the catalyst that set her off to help overturn the revolution and give it the fire it needed, the desperation it needed, the person without a soul basically to lead people into doing something that they don't necessarily want to do.
All right, sweet. So then Joel and Ellie get to the tallest building. I do love the jokes about the climbing all of those stairs.
Yeah.
The plan was 50 something. And
Yeah. How far do we need to go? As far as I can fucking get.
Yeah.
then, right, they climb as many as they can, and then Joel eventually collapses because again, this is when we find out he's 56, which frankly, pretty impressed. What do
Yeah.
you get? 43 or 33 stairs?
More than I'd want to go.
Yes,
30.
100%.
34. Yeah, way more than I'd want to go.
I'd be at like 15, 16 minutes. I think this is okay.
Yeah, this is
I
like
think
the
we can
second
sleep.
floor. It's fine.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that the internal.
We need easy access. I need to be able to jump out of the
I need to jump out the
building.
window and still
Yes,
be able to
just-
survive.
Just in case. Well, because frankly, it's like they're in the building. If the army does go onto the first floor and just walk upwards, they're going to get
They're
caught.
right there, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So they make it up. All fun and games. Again, it's daughter with her old ass dad and everything. So then they finally find the room to sleep.
Yep.
He sets up a little bit of the glass so that someone can hear. And then they. But you had something.
Yeah, so they're before they fall asleep. Yes, we get the great joke, right? It's nice to laugh. That's great. But I found it really interesting. Two things that Ellie is talking about how so how did you know that that was an ambush and not somebody was hurt? And he talks about how
That's right. Yeah.
I've been on both sides, but he says she asked if he's killed anybody innocent, and his answer was not just me and everybody I was with. And Ellie's response is, you and Tess, like questioning, oh, Tess isn't quite the saint that I have built her up to be in my own head, which also alludes back to the beginning of episode 2 when Tess bluntly tells her we are not good people. And yet it feels like she still idolizes Tess and still.
I think it was that mother figure that she's been desperately looking for.
Right, but that in this moment goes, wait a second, I need to recontextualize things. Maybe they aren't actually good people, right? Maybe they're not my mother and father, and I can't idolize these people, and yet she still kind of does. So just kind of an interesting character pick. And then when they're finally laying down, and Joel asks her question about, hey, you said you've done something before. What's that all about? Now, the entire time it's been Ellie asking question after question after question and Joel not answering.
Yep.
Now Joel's asking a question and Ellie doesn't want to
Yes.
answer.
She's like, I don't want to talk
Right?
about it.
It's just, I love that reversal.
Yeah.
I love these moments where we really get to see the other, right? The one character turn into the other character. And
Yeah.
it's
I feel like that's really well constructed, like writing throughout
Yes.
like a series or something
very
like that.
solid.
And also alluding to that joke that she says too, which I love, again, just because I love puns. It's let's see, I have it up. It was one of,
The
it
diarrhea
made me
one?
laugh.
Was
yeah.
that the diarrhea
It was, did you know diarrhea is hereditary? And then I
It's
just love
just-
Joel. I love their
What?
reactions and everything too. Joel's like, what the fuck? And she says, it runs in your genes.
And she's so casual
I
about
know.
it. Just, yeah.
And then he actually fucking breaks and laughs a bit. It was
It's
a
good
sweet
to
moment.
laugh. It really is. But then we're right back to it. We're right back to the suspense, to the action, to the fear. So you get a moment of laughter and you get a moment of this, but this whole episode is about survive, right? Endurance, survivor to set that up. And yeah, it's great to laugh. It, as brief as it is, that is part of what it takes to survive. Is you've got to pause. You've got to be able to be a human being and not be on all the time. But yeah, then we're right back into it and we roll into episode 5.
Well, episode 4 technically ends on them falling asleep and then guns pointed at their faces.
True.
And then we cut to, we don't cut to, we It ends.
In
We all
the
hit
season.
Cuts to
next
black.
episode. We hit play. Goes to the next episode, and the next episode starts with a little bit of a small jump back to the Henry and Sam starting to
That's
run.
right. Yeah, a little flashback.
The doctor helps them. We get to see a flash of things that we set up in the previous episode
Yes.
of when Kathleen and Perry, which, by the way, Perry is, I didn't mention before.
Not a platypus.
Correct. Not a platypus. He's a human that plays Tommy in the video game. He's
Yep.
the voice
Yes.
of Tommy in the video game.
Yep.
Which
Yep.
also, he looks so much like Pedro Pascal. He could have probably been his brother in the show. We had a little minimum of him acting, which I thought
Tommy
was,
might as well have
was
been
fine.
Tommy.
That's what I was thinking. Anyways,
You could have. Well, we start this episode with actually seeing the revolution. Like they finally defeat Fedra, right? They're taking over, and just the atrocities
yes.
that are committed, and that's where we meet Henry and Sam. Is them witnessing the them hanging people,
Yep.
them killing them just
Which-
in cold blood, them dragging someone with how
Right.
many fucking
Well,
15, 16 knives in them.
Also, back to the hanging thing, I love the contrast, or rather the similarities to them hanging people, Fedra people, back to the very first episode when the Fedra people are hanging citizens people.
Yeah.
It's a very,
Yeah.
it's a similarity of the
Yep.
same
Yep.
contrast.
What happens when regime changes? Does it really change?
well, I mean, because you said in cold blood, and then this is the argument of, was it in cold blood? Because Henry says later in the episode, 20 years of raping, pillaging, and murdering. What do you think's going to happen?
Yeah.
So
Do it right
it's
back
one,
to you,
well,
yeah.
it's one of those things where it's like, where do you, you justify doing it back to them, and then where's the line to where you stop? Because then it turns into, okay, now we're done with Fedra people. Now we're going to people that were suppressed by Fedra, but then also we're helping them survive. Then after that, where we're going to go to? We're going to go to our fellow, where's the line?
Yeah.
Because it's like you can justify the people who are raping and killing you, and then it eventually. And then we get introduced to Sam and Henry. Why do I say Henry and Sam every time instead of Sam and Henry?
Well, Henry is the older brother, so it
So
makes
I don't
sense.
give a
Or the
shit.
taller one.
I say Matt and Kyle.
That's funny because I say Kyle and Matt.
Well, you're stupid.
Because I talk about Kyle so much.
All those times.
That I do believe.
So Sam and Henry are hiding. They see all the atrocities and all the violence, and they know that they will be public enemy number one. But so they're hiding, and we get the first glimpse, and we discover that Sam is deaf.
Yes.
Which is the change from the video game, like we said, and as we all agree, great change.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Even the inside the episode, the creator, the video game guy, whatever his
Neil
name is.
Druckmann.
Yeah, that one. He said he was so upset when Craig told him he wanted to make that change. He was so upset that he didn't think about it himself.
Yeah, he was pissed at Mason, not because he was changing his game, but because it's such a good idea.
Well, it just makes the dynamic of surviving in that world so like it takes it to another level.
Well, yes, absolutely. And then what it also does is it immediately makes those scenes quieter, like just inherently, right, without dialogue, which is an interesting juxtaposition because Ellie talks non-fucking stop. So to have Ellie talk or try to talk to somebody who cannot hear her is pretty funny.
And then even on top of that, it instantly takes how much Sam relies on Henry and times 1,000.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing if it's a young kid who will learn, he could technically move on and somebody else could help him out. But what are the odds of finding somebody to that knows sign language and can communicate and is patient enough with a deaf child to take them in and help them?
Right. And not just, drag them along, but to actually engage with them. And that was something I noticed is Henry is really good about like making sure his brother
involving him in everything.
Well, involving him, but also absolutely involving him, but also knows how to cheer him up. Like he's really good at it. So anytime that he notices or somebody points out that, hey, that kid might be sad or something, like he's really good at helping get his brother out of that state of mind.
Yeah.
What's something I found interesting though about casting of this character is they were talking about what specific requirements they put out to find this.
Actually,
so
Geoff,
right? They wanted him to be a deaf actor. He had to be a black kid between the ages of 8 and 11. They wanted to find someone who was shorter than Bella Ramsey, who apparently is already a short person. They also
she's
wanted
45.
They also wanted the kid to be fluent in ASL. Something that I didn't notice.
American Sign Language?
Yeah, American Sign Language. Apparently, there's a black sign language, which is different than American Sign Language.
Like,
That is verbatim from the podcast.
Do they call it African American?
Dude, I don't.
sign language.
That is the only information that I have. Is that it is from the podcast, verbatim. That is, there's a black sign language which is different from ASL.
I mean, I would. Okay, we're going to flash back to me being in high school because I did take 2 years of ASL.
Nice.
Nailed it. Geoff's doing sign language for people who can't see, and I'm not.
Why'd you give up?
Where was I?
I don't know.
I believe ASL is definitely the most popular around, and I'm willing to bet that it's more of like a, how do I say, like a dialect, or like you have an accent, and if you go to different states, like words will mean something different. Everyone has kind of a different, you know, you could say a word in one state and you go to the other and it kind of has a different meaning. So I can see it being like that. And there, as the language develops and stuff, it gets more slang words. Like, you know, they taught one that was supposed to be like thirsty for water, but then it started to develop into thirsty being horny and like aroused and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So I could see it being like that. I've never heard of
interesting.
Damn American slang.
Exactly. right.
Seriously.
I've never heard of skin color based sign language.
Dude, same. But yeah, so they got.
You haven't heard of it? You hear a lot about
I have
sign
not.
language.
I don't want
all of my sign language that I'm involved in.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All the sign language podcasts I listen to. Thank you. They got so desperate in trying to cast this person that Mason put out an open casting call on Twitter. They got 5 auditions back.
Yep.
This kid being one of them.
Yes.
Nice.
So
and he was great.
Crushed it on finding the kid. But my God, when you start doing that many requirements, I mean, you're setting yourself up for not necessarily failure, but for, I don't know. And then on top of everything else, they have to be able to act.
Yeah, exactly. And he killed it.
Yeah,
I thought he did really well.
I thought he did fantastic.
And let alone that being the case, the actor that played Henry as well had to learn American Sign Language to some extent to be able to actually communicate correctly.
Yeah.
And if it make it look natural in the show, and he did an exceptional job too.
To at least the extent that like Fez learned English for That 70s Show.
Nice. I got that reference.
Well,
Beyond, like, Sam was fantastic. I also thought Henry was fantastic also.
I agree.
Acting.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I thought it was a great job.
I'm excited to watch both of these actors in future things. I'm really looking forward to seeing, because you can tell they have range. There's absolutely bits of comedic in there. There's absolutely bits of extreme drama and the way that they can use their face to tell what they're meaning and not necessarily what they're saying, which jumps to the very end of the episode. But oh my God, I agree.
So they're hiding, and then we get to the doctor from the previous episode helps them hide in the attic type thing, where if it was Bo is afraid, there would be somebody chained up in a giant penis.
A dick mantis?
Yes, dick mantis.
Yes.
But we got to see the room that Kathleen and Perry saw previously that we saw in the previous
It's
episode.
all drawn over, but wouldn't you be concerned about like either getting high or getting poisoned from all of that paint in such a small contained space?
Well, so jumping forward in time, that they were there for 10 days or whatever, and they ran out of food, and roughly it gets in line with when Kathleen captures the doctor, which is when they run out of food, so they decide they have to escape. And when
convenient, they ran out of that exact moment.
Yes, and when he's afraid, he decides to make Sam feel better by putting the paint so it looks like a mask. How is that good for the child? Like you just rub paint across this kid's face.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Well, it's not
he's a
lead-based,
superhero
is it?
now.
Yes, apparently. I don't give a
lead,
shit.
the lead poisoning gives you superpowers.
I think there's specific paint that is meant to go on human skin, let alone buy eyeballs and eye sockets. And I can't imagine in this world they have just a bunch of that. Oh yeah, totally. I bet it.
That's the least of their problems, Matt.
Well, now that we know he's eventually going to die, but at the moment, well, actually, he has leukemia also. So the kid's got so many issues.
That's what I mean, right? So he beats leukemia just to get pig poisoning.
I mean, I guess he beat it because he doesn't look like he's about to die.
And they're still, right? They're still.
I feel like it's hard to believe that anybody in that world beats leukemia, even if you have some medicine.
Right?
I feel like it's a lot more than that. But anyway, so then they.
No, I agree with you.
So they decide they need to escape the room because clearly someone's going to go find them, and then they happen across and they watch the fight from the previous episode, which I personally really like that.
Love that.
They jump back and then it's just like at the same timeline weaving back and forth.
Yeah, because we get to see it from their perspective, and we get to see it from almost a stranger's perspective, as if we didn't know who Joel and Ellie were. We get to see this cold-blooded killer,
totally,
right?
And
just taking people out.
We see that from his perspective in terms of him looking out. And there's a moment when Joel almost like looks directly at him, and he's just like, "Oh,
he
fuck."
ducks, right?
Like, yeah.
and so I want to go back to something that Matt said when,
That's me.
Yeah, that's
that is you.
Yeah, not you.
Wave to the audience.
You said that you thought Henry's plan was to go to the tall building originally. I don't think so. I think that he saw, he's like, oh, here's someone who I can, who can protect the both of us. And so he's just following.
But he did say to Joel, yeah, I get it. You went to the tallest building so you could scope out the best way out.
Right.
So, I mean, it just felt like an obvious plan.
Maybe not a plan, but something that was a plausible thing to do. I just don't think that was ever in Henry's intention to get to that building if Joel wasn't there.
So you think he was following them because he thought that he could?
Yes, and I say that because he says to Sam
it out loud,
right? Okay, new plan or change of plans or something like that.
So. I'm shocked that as Joel, who's such a skilled killer and hunter, was able to be followed by these people who are, one's deaf and a child, and the other is not a very skilled, killer.
Anything.
So it's very shocking that they would be able to actually follow.
Yeah,
Joel.
and I wonder
but
how far
I
back.
hear what you're saying.
Right.
Like,
I wonder how far back they had to wait because
movie magic.
Okay,
yeah,
we'll just chalk it up to that.
Well,
that's
I
totally
think
no,
so.
I agree with you. Absolutely,
they kept following Joel on his bad ear side.
Apparently, because Joel is on the
stay to his left. Stay to his left.
So they follow Joel up to the apartment, but also like what you're saying with we watched the Joel fight from an outside perspective. It goes with what I was saying. It was like I feel like Joel and Ellie were not the main characters after the car crash, frankly. Well, maybe not after the car crash. Probably just episode 5, because 4 we still followed them around.
Right.
But episode 5, I feel like they were side characters. It was Henry and Sam mostly, and then a lot of Kathleen, and then Joel was kind of more of just like the side character that they picked up in their quest to escape.
Ah, okay,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, like I get what you're saying. The main story of that town and this chapter essentially is what happened in that city, that city between Kathleen and Henry and all that, and the collapse of Fedra there. And Joel and Ellie just happened to come into that.
Yep. Which I love, like the adventure stories are on the adventure. You run into people that will change your main character.
Well, it's almost like
stuff.
an RPG game.
Yep, that's what. Yep, exactly. And you get in, you change, you experience this, you learn stuff for the future, but then you never see them again. And it's just
you gain experience points and get new perks.
Yep, I agree. And
but I love that we literally shifted perspectives. Like we didn't just stay with our main characters. We 100% went to a different direction, even though we quickly get back to our main characters. Like Matt said, it's not from their perspective.
Yep. Yeah. So then, we jump, like you said, we jump back to the them waking up with Sam and Henry, the guns on them.
Yep.
And then we get immediately. I think they did a good job of not necessarily like I felt like we could tell pretty easily that Henry was not a killer. Henry was not a violent person.
No, but I still love his line is, look, fuck, I don't know what the next step is like this. So here, I'm just going to lay out what it is. I'm not trying to trick you or anything like that.
Yeah,
like,
instead of them saying, instead of someone being like, I'm not violent, all this stuff, it's just like small, subtle things of, I'm not really sure what the next thing is. That seems very real. That seems like more like, Frank in the hole being like, I'm just bad at lying. Sorry.
Right. Right. And it's this honesty that makes me really enjoy this show is because it's not about a bunch of characters who are at the top of their game or who are, cold-blooded killers and everything is going to go right every step of the way. It feels very realistic.
You like the honesty. This is all fake, right?
I choose to believe that it's real.
I also, Henry has one of the best lines ever that I would like to personally be able to say at some point in my life. I'm the most wanted man in Kansas City.
Definitely.
That was awesome. I was like, fuck yeah, let's go. I don't know anything about these people. I love this dude, though.
And that's such a Western kind of line. Like, God damn, it felt like an old Wild West kind of.
But we go to like chapter 1 when we talked about, Joel's Sarah would never make it because she's so trusting. And yet again, it's so more trusting people, I feel like.
Yeah.
We constantly come across these people that are way too trusting, and it happens to work out.
So that's the thing, is that sometimes you have to trust somebody.
Yeah, but it works out
even
every
if you don't feel
time.
like you
It feels
should.
like so far.
Yeah, it works out. Again, there's a lot of luck that goes into this.
Their luck. The luck checks out every single time so far.
Luck wins every time.
Yes, it does seem like that.
That's why I just like, if you ever played Fallout, I just boost luck all the way up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So I do in my real life.
Your charisma,
it's no skill. It's
your
just
charisma
luck.
needs a little bit of work, but yes, your luck is off the
Matt's
charts.
just like strength. Like, let's put that at a 10.
One of my main qualities. I can lift heavy stuff. I don't know what else I got.
Throw a disc really far.
That'll take you far.
Relative.
It will take you far.
You can send messages in a post-apocalyptic world that way.
If I got it to the top of that building, I could throw that disc so far. That'd be sweet.
Can you imagine just like on the other building, just like a little mirror flash, and it's like, all right, I'm sending the message over there.
Break the window. One bad throw. Well, no more messages. We're fucked.
Oh, it went to the Fedra people. Let's get out of here.
So flippy.
Like, I love this stamp on this disc. What does it say? Let's kill all the Fedra. Guys, should we check this out?
Did you write this?
Was this you? And then so they're eating. They're eating something. Do you know what it is, Brandon?
I think it might be jerky, but man, I don't know.
Maybe some rats or something. So
I like how Henry is smart, like he's intuitive and picks up on a lot of things, but he also knows when to actually offer something of value, because it's very much a, okay, you didn't kill me, I didn't kill you, we need to move on. No. I have something that you not just want, I have something you need.
He showed up with a plan.
Yes.
Like it was not
some
just
kind of.
Well, I think he's smart in that sense, but not in the immediacy sense, to the extent because when they start to go down to the tunnels, which is their way out, that they decide, he's like, let's see, it's empty, let's go in. And Joel's like, hold the fuck up and shut the fuck up. We don't know that there's nothing down here.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, and going into the tunnel portion of it, what do you guys think of the underground town that they developed? Because that's actually from the game as well, but I'll go further into that.
I thought that was fascinating. I saw a freight elevator in the background. Freight elevator. I thought that was cool. Whatever. And but I thought it was. But I saw the freight elevator and I was like, does that mean it's pretty close to the surface? Anyways, so I loved it because it's definitely a peek into a part of the apocalypse that nobody's been talking about.
Yeah.
It was like people do escape. And especially in this city of like, you have all these things happening up top at in the city, and these people were able to escape. I would like to have seen like what happened to them.
So
they
that's
became
something.
mole people.
Well, so in
That's
the
what
game,
they're eating.
Yeah, that's the way they're surviving. That's why you don't see mole
spoilers
people.
for like 2 episodes ahead.
But anyways, Brandon, do you remember from the video game that portion of the story of the underground town?
Vaguely, yes.
Since I played it multiple times, you can actually follow that story a lot further by picking up the notes and finding different things.
So what happened?
Basically, the story in the video game is that like this dude crashes on his boat because he bailed on his boat, and then crashes on the beach, and then he goes into the sewers and find some people hiding out down there. They develop this town and city in there, and so basically like hidden society. And they like visually and aesthetically, the show did a very good job of replicating that, because they had like the initial door and like words and paintings.
I do remember
and stuff.
that, and I feel like it was a lot more eerie in the video game than it was in the show.
It was, well, to the extent of like you read these notes and you're like, they're actually succeeding. They're finding ways to like catch rainwater and recycle it, and like grow plants underground through like the amount of daylight they have in certain areas. But then it also turns into, you follow the notes further to the downfall of when they actually, I think, accidentally let in someone that was infected. And then the whole, like, as you're exploring this tunnels society in the game, you do run into more clickers and infected people, and you realize that some of these people are actually the people that you read notes from.
The ones who originally were surviving.
Yes, and so that's something that I did miss that they didn't incorporate into the show. But obviously that's like a whole nother
Well, they said
thing.
it definitely could have been another one-off.
Yeah.
We could have done the underground, but we wanted to allude to it.
Yeah. Which I think they did great.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job of that. And I like the whole scene, all the scenes that were like, once they got into that family area, because it alluded to like Joel and Ellie being more of a family, and then it's like it's similar to like the Tess thing, where it was like, oh, is this going to be the group? Is this going to be the family that they're going to, continue on in the future?
One thing I wanted to point out, though, that I liked again in the game that they couldn't put in because of it would have taken so much time, is that in the game there's actually a moment in the tunnel systems to where you get split off from each other, and you actually get paired up with Sam as playing Joel, and Ellie is paired up with Henry, and you guys have to go your separate ways and find your way back to each other while fighting off infected. I liked that so much, because it's like you're getting torn apart from your child, both those adult characters, and then you're having to care for this other child that's not necessarily your kid,
and kind of understanding what they're going through.
Yes, it's very interesting, and another thing I missed that I wish they could have incorporated into the show.
We got a more of a peek into what Henry's like willing to do for Sam, what he has done for Sam.
Basically what went down.
Yeah, well, because we alluded before they got into the tunnels, they alluded to a little bit of Henry saying, I am a rat. Like, they are searching for me. And it was an interesting reaction of Joel's reaction immediately was, I don't work with rats.
Yeah,
and ultimately, Joel would have been on Kathleen's side on that situation. It was like the same reaction of what I think Kathleen would have had with him.
I agree.
Yeah. If he would have ratted like on, say, Tommy, for instance.
Exactly,
right. Absolutely. Yeah, he would have. The thing is Joel knows how to hunt people and not bring society down with him.
Yep. But and then we're down in the tunnels, we got a little bit more into the backstory. And then it is more of not only just for Joel, getting that character development for Joel of really understanding, like, you know what, some people, just because I disagree with everything he did, people have reasons, and the world does not necessarily revolve around me and whoever I'm protecting.
Yeah,
there are other peoples and other versions of what I could be.
Yeah.
Like, I could be the better version, which I think was more Henry, honestly.
Well, right, but it also raises the question: how far would you have gone if you were put in my shoes?
Yep.
Right. I mean, and I love that line of, I'm the bad guy because I did a bad guy thing, which, Joel does not disagree with. He doesn't, try and say, oh, no, you're fine. I know what it takes kind of thing. Like, he just was silent. And I think that was less of a statement on what he thought of Henry, but I think he was internalizing it of.
Sure. Well, he knows he's been a bad guy too.
If you think you're a bad guy, I'm the fucking devil.
Do you think that he's always thought of himself as the bad guy, or do you think he's always been like, I've done what it takes to survive, which doesn't necessarily mean I'm a bad guy, just means I'm survival. And then this man looking him in the face and saying, no, that means you're I'm a bad guy, which saying
without
you
knowing,
are a bad guy also.
I think it absolutely what you just said is 100% true of Joel. Just put it in the back, out of his mind. I did what it took to survive. Right. I'm still here.
He disassociates himself from it to the extent of that he's like, I'm not the bad guy, but I did bad things in order to survive.
Yep. Yes, exactly. And now you have someone who doesn't even know basically anything about Joel, besides he, is a really good survivalist, now saying exactly that of something so trivial of, I was trying to save my brother. and yet I did a bad thing, meaning I'm, irredeemable, basically. And we don't spend a lot of time with that, but I think it's something that is going to stay with Joel through the rest of the series, which possibly, again, I'm trying to give reasons of why Joel wouldn't, go through with the very end of letting them operate on Ellie. And it's these little things of, if I can do one thing, if I can save one person I truly care about, then maybe all of this is for nothing.
Him murdering everybody isn't a bad guy thing. I feel like that it's counter to like, I killed a bunch of people to save myself and the people around me, but then when he got to the end, he's gonna still not change anything and still kill everybody to save the people around me. But I have a question about like their conversation down there, and because I don't know who. So Henry was talking and describing Michael and describing this great, amazing man, and then he looks over and he's like, "Don't we all know a man like that?" Or I forgot the exact word it was. But then Joel kind of like looks away in, yes, we do, to think about that person. But who do you think that was that Joel was thinking about? Because you think Tess?
So, I take it back. Sarah.
Okay, I can see Sarah.
I don't know.
I had no one off the top of my head. That's what I was wondering. I can see Sarah, but like, I don't know. She's so young to be considering Sarah as like
a leader,
the great man that does all of these amazing things. I agree. He does love her and think of her fondly, but I don't know. I can see it. I have nothing better.
I think
it wasn't Tommy. Wasn't Tommy.
I
wasn't Tess.
Tommy.
Wasn't him.
Definitely isn't himself. Yeah, no, I think that's no. I think that's the only person he would put on that kind of a pedestal. And especially being 20 years removed from that, there's, only solidifies if only she would have lived, if only she could have been so great. She could have touched so many people. She could have changed so many lives and made so many people happy and all of this kind of, maybe he's thinking that his daughter could have been the type of leader that Henry is describing. Maybe something along that line.
You started to lose me the more I liked it earlier.
I get where you're coming from, but I didn't even think of it in that sense that he was thinking of anyone specifically. I just thought he was being contemplative about it.
Oh, okay.
Well, a great man.
Yeah.
Abraham Lincoln,
or just taking in that. Abe Lincoln.
Charlie Sheen.
But no, I think I just interpreted that moment as he was just taking in all the information and just considering the situation that Henry's describing to him.
Interesting.
Understanding where he's coming from based on the information he gave him.
I mean, desperate people do desperate things.
Because he was basically explaining that he needed the medical supplies for Sam. And so,
yes. Yeah. Which again, I don't think that's how leukemia works, but I don't know because I don't have leukemia.
Be glad and thankful you don't.
Yeah. So then, okay, so we're powering through to then they get pop out of the tunnels. It looks clear.
Just like Henry said.
Just like Henry said. Won't shut the fuck up about it.
Won't shut up.
And then they're walking down the street. I think this old dude is dumb as hell to just start shooting. Just like Joel said, he was like, "Oh, it's night, and he has a horrible shot. He's not going to hit me."
Yeah.
So I was like, why'd you start shooting and like alert these people? Like you could have radioed in and just fouled his ass,
right? Ben, because either I don't know, he thought he could, but the answer I would give is maybe he wanted to die. Maybe he wanted them to attack him. I mean, that's definitely why.
I alluded to the fact that a lot of these people aren't soldiers still. He was probably just posted there.
Yep.
And he's just like, there's the enemy. I'm going to start shooting.
I'm going to go with that. I'm going to change my answer. I'm going with that.
You think it was posted there?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. I just assumed he was just hiding out.
No, I think he was posted there to guard.
With the radio.
He had the radio and stuff.
Yeah, and exactly. It's a citizen's army. It's not. They're not trained soldiers. So yeah, I changed my answer.
I'm astonished by these old people. The amount of old people. Because he was pretty freaking old for still being alive. And Kathleen, whenever she was in the room and they were talking in her old room and stuff, and which I thought was weird that she went back to her old room, but she also referenced.
No, that wasn't her old room. Her actual room was like hundreds of miles away. I don't know what that room was.
I thought that was the room that they.
Perry said his room was miles away. That was her old room.
Yeah, she was like being reminiscent about her and Michael's like kids or something.
Because she said, "Well, did you go to my to the room I grew up in?" And he goes, No, that's hundreds of miles away.
She said, have you been to your old room?
Your old room.
And he said, well, that's kind of useless. That's hundreds or whatever miles away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because when she was in the room and then Barry came in and she was like, how'd you find me? And she was like, oh, I went to go see your mom.
I definitely thought it was a joke.
Her mom is still alive? Are you freaking kidding me? Well, with the old dude posted up in the house, like there's another old person that's still alive.
Well, that's her uncle.
Apparently, maybe. Yeah, maybe.
It's just this family. Imagine,
yes,
but imagine the
family's
tragedy and the
invincible.
grief that these old people have gone through.
Oh, yeah,
not just to survive through this, and get to this age, but the torture of the tortured mind it takes to be, still alive. And I think that's why.
And posting up to kill children. Yeah, I agree.
I don't know that he was told. I think he was told, hey, there are some people who are leaving. You stop them.
I hear you.
Yeah.
And then he sat there and went, oh, there's the people. There's 2 children. Let me shoot at them.
Do you think that because he can't see that well?
Yeah.
Do you think,
so then how do you know they were even there? And it was Henry.
There are anybody?
So the entire army came running for a rando.
Oh, that would be
and they
fucking
they
hilarious.
show up and they're like, "Who's this fucker?" and then they
you captured their stunt doubles.
They killed the old dude. But then
he wanted to die.
Then
He absolutely wanted to die.
Then the old dude's family comes for revenge, and then that's a whole lot. All right, but so the important thing that happens in this is they start getting shot at. They hide. Joel runs around. The old dude. It should have been pretty obvious what Joel was going to do, but whatever. So he goes around, and Joel
he didn't want
definitely didn't want to kill him.
Did not want to.
The character development of no longer wanting to be the bad guy through Henry and everything.
I absolutely agree.
And then the old dude, forced his hand, so he had to kill him. But the army still
the old
came.
dude wanted to die.
The old dude wanted to die. Got it.
Oh, okay. Yes, I did say that.
He so wanted to die.
Jeff,
can we talk about?
I have a question. Jeff, do you think the old dude wanted to die?
He so wanted to die.
That's a good point.
Totally.
Brandon doesn't think so. But the old dude wanted to die. So the whole army shows up. I think it's fucked up that they had that vehicle at the front that just says "run" on it.
I love that.
That's so that's demented.
I love that. Oh, it's absolutely
that's horrible.
Absolutely. But I love it. It's so fucking funny.
It is amusing. So then they crash through everything. And Kathleen,
fucking horrifying.
Yes, I imagine. But granted, they did the Prometheus run in a straight line. Especially when they're vehicles. Go run into the woods. Go sideways.
Serpentine, for God's sake.
At very minimum. Or go into a house. What's up, Cammie? Made eye contact with her. She stared at me. Meow. Meow. So Kathleen finally corners Henry and Sam. Ellie also on accident. Well, I guess she was looking for the dude that killed Brian.
Yes.
Because I guess Brian was so
beloved
by her. The other
He was the
whatever
golden child.
the other people that were also killed in that group she didn't care about, but it was Brian. Or the hell Brian was.
Because
was
the audience
cousin.
has an emotion. It's the cousin. Because we have an emotional connection, so it has to be that character. Otherwise, it's not going to matter.
Yes. Or then she's a ruthless killer because of her brother, and now also this whatever.
Yes.
So
she finds the strength
yes, fine.
to be a leader. So one thing that I liked that the show did better than the game, I know, shocking, is that they turned that scene into a night scene. Because in the video game, well, here's all the changes from that. The sniper's really fucking good in the video game.
Not
he kills
some old
me
dude that wants to die.
No, he kills me so many fucking
Do you think
times.
he wants to die?
Yeah,
He so wanted to die. But anyways, in the game, he's like, it's a really hard challenge to get around and dodge the sniper because he's so fucking good. And then
instead of just run
and then by the time you get into that building, you just kill that motherfucker because you're so pissed at him. And anyways, but yes, during the daytime as well. I love that the show did it at night though, because it made for such a cool looking scene and more terrifying.
Fire looks better at night.
Yep,
Yeah.
right. CG's also better hidden at night.
Yeah.
That's true. And the infected are much more terrifying at night than they're in the daytime.
Yes.
Before that happened though, we did have some interesting where she was just, she was like, Henry, come out. And then Henry's like, okay, I'll trade my life for the kids. She go, fuck yourself. She says, maybe, you ever think maybe the kid was just meant to die? which I think is weird because then the reverse is like ever think that maybe Michael was
your
meant to
brother
die.
was meant to die.
Well, I know the justification is so flawed and yet makes perfect sense.
No, it doesn't.
I think it absolutely
Because of how
makes
psycho
sense.
she is.
Yeah, and because of this fucked up world we live in, I totally get both reasonings. I absolutely can see the point of who is it who matters more. You know, my brother didn't matter to you, so your brother doesn't matter to me, right?
Well, that makes sense to me, but not your brother was meant to die.
She's like you said, she's
that
psychotic.
sounds she's about to be like God chose him to die.
I get it.
You angered God.
I get it in the sense of what Brandon is saying about it doesn't make sense what she's saying because she's insane.
Mm-hmm. I'll give you that. So then the big ass truck or whatever crashes into the underground, which they've talked about the whole 2 episodes about how there is no infected and it must be in the ground. We didn't mention it, but in episode 4 we talked about, she saw the infected kind of pushing up out of the ground somewhere else.
Not necessarily the infected, but some things underground.
I think they knew.
Just what else?
Well, no, that was
infected rats.
Yeah, maybe I don't know. They don't explicitly say it until episode 5.
I just don't know when gods know what else it could be.
Well, that's true.
I don't know what else.
It's the tunnel people.
Yeah, right. All the people that were living in there finally they've come back up for revenge because somebody
right. Yeah, you don't maybe
poured
it's
coffee down the drain and they're like, what the fuck?
Killer Plants. It's Rick Moranis in Little Shop of Horrors.
But it was another example of a horrible leader that she was like, hide it. I only care about killing one person.
We'll get to that later. No. You understand this is a bigger deal than you are making it.
Yep. So then the truck, whatever, the vehicle falls through the ground, and then we get
such a cool explosion.
It was a great explosion, great collapse, and honestly, now this is 4 had 0 infected. 5 up until this moment had 0 infected. And then we finally have a overflow of the most infected we've seen to date.
Yep.
How did everyone like that scene?
It was horrifying, and I loved it.
It's great. I love that we finally saw a bloater.
Yeah.
What do you think the bloater looked? How did
the bloater looked great? It was just as violent. Like there were moments of violence that it replicates from the game. Like it can literally tear you apart. Yeah. But I was wanting more out of it because from the games I've died so many times from a bloater, and they literally they just fuck you up so many times, and everybody.
It definitely would be nice to see more infected, see more bloaters, see more of these creatures.
I was just expecting way more damage to be occurred from that bloater. Like, granted, we saw it rip off somebody's head. That's that's definitely a lot.
What is this, PG? Come on,
this is HBO. All right,
exactly. They should have taken it even further.
Well, they wanted to. They wanted to have him ripped apart from the torso.
Yeah.
But the reason why is because the visuals didn't really look that good because people don't rip in half like that.
Yeah, but they could have done the same thing that they did in the video game, like when you're playing Joel and he gets caught by a bloater. The bloater literally picks him up by his head and starts ripping apart his jaw from his face, and it's just so fucking brutal.
Super brutal.
I think that might have been a little too much. Not that I would have enjoyed
HBO could have pulled it off.
I hear you. That definitely did not fit the theme.
If there was any effects company to do it, it would have been Weta. Did you know that Weta? Yeah, was working on this. That's why the visuals are so fucking good.
Lord of the Rings.
Well, they're like everything, aren't they?
Avatar 2.
As well? Or
I don't know if
just Avatar 2.
Avatar
2 too.
I was like
Avatar 2. I think that I don't know if they did the first one.
I feel like they had to have. James Cameron seems to be the kind of guy that would. If his movie was.
James Cameron doesn't seem like he's going to go, you know what? Avatar
Let's
2,
change everything.
Let's take a shot at this company.
Because I don't know when the company was founded. I don't know if Avatar was first and then Weta, came into existence. Because I thought it's Peter Jackson's company, but I didn't know if that was for the Hobbit series.
No,
and the Hobbit came out after Avatar.
I'm pretty sure. I thought it was for Lord of the Rings. Anyways, Weta is fantastic, and I thought all the practicals. I personally thought the CG of the bloater looked okay. Compared to all the rest of the practicals, I like the practicals that looked better. I assume that there was some real dude running around in some weird ass suit, but ultimately I thought it looked a little out of place.
It was the same suit that Brendan Fraser wore in The Whale.
So, speaking of Brendan Fraser,
you're welcome.
The
Mummy.
So Lamar Johnson, who's Henry, was in X-Men Dark Phoenix. He was Match with Nicholas Hoult.
Oh, yeah.
Hank, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Logically.
Who is in Tolkien with Lily Collins.
Oh, yeah.
Who is in Okja with
Okja.
Tilda Swinton.
Yep.
Who is in Isle of Dogs with
Yep.
Jeff Goldblum.
Yep.
Who is in The Lost World Jurassic Park with Julianne Moore.
Yep.
Who is in Kingsman: The Golden Circle with
Of course.
Taron Egerton. Who is in Eddie the Eagle with Hugh Jackman. Who is
Obviously.
in Van Helsing with Kevin O'Connor, who is Benny in The Mummy.
Good God. It took you long enough.
Nice.
That was my favorite so far. Anyways.
Yeah, it's a good thing that Joel doesn't miss. A good thing he's a good shot, because that would suck if.
This is perfect. Also, did you like that, right? That he was up there shooting and protecting her. I thought it was pretty cool.
I love that. I just
That's from
didn't
the game,
like
too.
how it is.
It's also from the Mummy Returns.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
So you couldn't go with that tie-in. You had to go with. The
Well,
other
I
one?
forgot. I forgot until.
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure.
Well, the
he
act-
forgot.
The act was in it, not like the people.
Let's be honest. It always comes back to the mummy.
Of course,
For some.
Always.
everything.
Yeah, no, I did like that. But I didn't like how accurate Joel was. I know that the gun jammed and he got through it, but I didn't like that. I don't know. He shot everything he was intending to and didn't miss.
I get that it's like it's the counter of what he was saying earlier, which is amusing because that is reality and stuff. But
Yeah.
let's be honest, this is not fucking reality.
Yeah,
There's
also
infected
true.
all over
You gotta
the place.
But the fear is super tangible.
Yes.
Like, even though I played the game and even my second watch through of this episode, and I knew they were going to survive and get through it, I still was afraid for these
Yes,
characters.
it was.
Thought it was a great way to tell it.
Yeah.
Hectic.
But I also am sure that it was hell to shoot at night because it was all night. Like you said, they changed it from daytime.
Well,
Right. Well, have
just-
you seen the behind the scenes photos of shooting that scene?
No.
They had several cranes and rigs
Yeah.
with that entire little town area was lit up.
So,
Mm-hmm.
fun fact about that entire neighborhood was built from scratch for this
oh
production.
yeah, I don't doubt it one bit. Yeah.
I can't believe that they built something so quickly and so proficiently enough. It was pretty fantastic. So
yeah,
the production value, the
I would
production
die to
value
work
of
on
it.
that lighting setup.
Well, and all you have to do is tell someone you're going to blow up a car at the end of the day, and anyone will work on something just to be there when something blows up.
yes.
That's what I was taught in film school.
Yeah.
It's about the only thing I took away from film school.
And a positive
That's a shame.
attitude.
And this guy.
How'd you feel about? Yeah, that's very true. Unfortunately, how'd you feel about Kathleen dying by child clicker?
Loved it.
Child clicker. Yeah.
Loved it.
See, I get the logic of it,
Yes.
but it was unsatisfying for me personally.
Really? How come?
I just,
You wanted? How did you want her to die?
I mean, frankly, she didn't have to die for me.
Oh.
Like it would have been okay. But it was just like, I don't know.
See, I'm on the other side. I was just satisfied that she died because her character was kind of annoying to me.
I agree.
So
I mean, I was glad she died in the sense of that her character was annoying to me the whole time. And I get like the logic of like she was so focused on getting Henry.
Yeah.
She turned her back to all danger and everything like that. But I don't know. It's just like the infected popping up out of nowhere just felt like a cheap out kind of.
yeah, I
Even-
like a little more random than like a gratifying or anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Me
That's
personally.
fair. That's fair.
Like it seems
But-
like they were trying to go for a gratifying death.
I
for
get,
her,
well, I
but-
get what they're aiming
as a
for.
viewer.
Would you like to?
Yeah, I like that Kathleen died by the child clicker, because that child clicker was fucking ferocious and I wanted to see more of it, but more because she was ready to kill children and then died by a child. So I thought it, was what's the opposite of ironic? She got her comeuppance and it was very quick.
And then and then we'll jump to the end scene, which I think might be the most important scene of the whole episode. The Joel, Ellie, Henry, and Sam all escape what we think is unscathed, and they get to the hotel. They wind down.
Joel offers Henry the chance to join them, right? So it shows growth from his perspective. And
Totally.
okay, maybe I don't
Further
have to be
reinsurance,
afraid.
we're having more of a family.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna have this.
And maybe I don't have to be so fearful of every person out there.
And then Ellie and Sam are in their room. bonding some more. I love the pad, whatever it's called. I forgot that he can write on.
Yeah.
God forbid
How
that thing.
convenient.
God forbid that thing breaks.
I know, right?
Screwed.
Right? And I mean, he wears it around his neck, right? So it's always on him, but God forbid.
Yep.
It's also a good thing that Sam can read and write. That's really convenient.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, for his age and
for
like
his
potentially
age and
no
for this
potentially no
world.
schooling since the federal area broke down in shambles.
Well, I mean, that was like 10 days ago. But
Was that what the timeline was?
Yep.
I wasn't sure.
it was
Okay.
10 days.
Yeah, the beginning of this episode that was
No, thank you, Jeff.
I didn't know that till this viewing either. I thought that it was I didn't
knew in the first
realize
viewing. Suck it.
I definitely didn't realize that it was A, so quickly, or B, the same that was the whole thing, that group was taking over for Fedra. So I did love that Ellie gave the same answer. Do I look scared? That Henry gave in episode 4 when they're in the attic and about to to escape.
Oh yeah.
Or maybe it was earlier in this episode. But again, this repeat of it but we get more of a conversation and said Henry just left it at, do I look scared? And then we move on.
Right.
But this time, right, it's a continuation and we get to see a little bit more character depth and we get to see Ellie admit that she's terrified all the time. So point for me. And just from a couple
I got
All
you.
right, cool.
Sorry, what do you want me to say?
I was waiting for just like something.
Enter
some
in
kind of
cheering
reaction.
crowd sound effect there.
I mean, you want me to be serious? I think she was lying to make a little kid feel better.
Well, she didn't actually say I'm scared all the time. She went to.
She did.
No.
She said I'm scared all the time.
Yeah, and then
scorpions.
And then okay. I thought she erased it and then said I'm scared of scorpions.
No. Because she wrote I'm scared all the time, and then
I thought I saw her
scorpions.
erase it and then put scorpion. Okay.
I was trying to leave it at nothing. I was trying to give you your
I appreciate
shit,
that.
let you go, but you pushed it. That's your fault, Brandon. I hurt you because you want it.
So yeah, that was my comment on that. That I love that we got more into why this kid is scared. Like why he. It's not the first time he's asked his brother, "Are you scared?" Right? Mm-hmm. But it's the first time he gets a different answer, and I love that because then it allows him to go. You know what I'm scared of? Fucking dying.
And then the reveal
Big
that
reveal.
he was bit or he was turning.
Yep.
And then she has a very interesting. I wasn't expecting it. Like if you were to ask me what her reaction would have been beforehand, I was not expecting it necessarily. But she cuts her hand, smears the blood off. Also, all movies love to just pretend like, oh, it's so easy for just some kid to just cut her hand open, her palm.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, willy nilly. Oh, no problem. Yeah. Slice, and then rubs the blood on his wound, and then I would assume deep down feels like it's going to be correct.
Yeah,
like she is the hero.
Well, at least from a desperation standpoint, because that leads on to a key element throughout the rest of this series, that Ellie needs to feel like her life has purpose.
Yeah,
for what seems to be a rare condition.
Well, she's
or maybe
constantly
the only
told,
condition.
Well, I guess not constantly told. Recently, she's constantly told that she could save everybody.
Yep.
Like you're
the
be the
key to
cure.
saving
This
the
is
world.
The key.
and this is the moment where she starts to believe that. Like she starts to
Even
actually think that, you know what, maybe I can actually make a difference.
Yeah, or even if she doesn't believe it, she needs it to be true
She
in
needs
this
it, yeah.
situation.
And there's a comment that I saw that I thought was really interesting about this. She's a person who's going from a solution to an experiment to a prayer, all within the span of like 2 minutes. And I love that. And then seeing that when they're hugging and Ellie's face is, God, I hope this fucking works, was really hard to watch.
Yeah.
Really hard to watch.
And same thing played out in the game too, because I think she cut her hand and then just like pressed it to his arm to where the bite was. And then the results were the same, which is why I want to ask you, actually, since you never played any of the games, what was your reaction to how that all played out?
What do you mean all? What all?
At the next day, like after
the next day?
Yes.
My reaction, I was not expecting this.
So like after, like as an audience member that hasn't played the game or knows what's going to happen.
So I didn't know that was coming,
yes,
obviously.
Yes.
When she smeared the blood, there was no bit of me that thought that was going to work. So I assumed he was going to turn. He would turn.
Yep.
She's lucky that she fell asleep and he didn't kill her
Yep.
in the middle of the night. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was a perfect, like, perfect thing to do at the end of this story. Of just like, is another of, we are seeing these beacons of hope, and this world, it's gonna be okay, and then we got it all come crashing down. Of the weakest are the ones that get picked off,
right? Or even just another standpoint of it too. So like the end result is that Sam does turn, and then he attacks Ellie, and then they come, like Ellie screams for help. Both Henry and Joel come over, and Joel's about to jump in and kill Sam.
Immediately about to kill
and then
Sam.
Henry pulls out his gun and is like, "No, that's my brother."
Well,
Immediately
there's one
protective.
gun on the floor, and Henry gets to it first. And
Yes,
I
that's
found
right.
it interesting that he shoots the ground,
To stop.
insinuating, that I will fucking kill you.
Yeah, it's
Don't
like,
make me
you're,
kill you.
You're about to kill my brother, and no.
I know
but
what's
then at the same
happening.
time, yes, it's like, but that's not your brother anymore, kind of
Well,
situation.
I think it's the same as Joel in many, many situations. The gut reaction is protection.
Yep.
Protect the child, protect the one that you're here to protect. Gut reaction, and then there's a quick assessing the situation.
Yep.
He shoots. First off, amazing shot.
Amazing shot.
Great shot.
Especially for not really
For not being a
Exactly, right.
person that kills anybody.
could have easily. I would
Fooled
have
me.
I would have liked to see the entire clip go through, and then eventually one of them clips him. But yeah, so then he kills Sam, and there is, from the first viewing to the second viewing, I thought it was much more of a quick reaction for him to kill himself. But in the second viewing, it was much longer.
It was contemplative.
Way more, because
Conversation in his head.
and what I alluded to earlier was I can't wait to see what he does, because he's so expressive with his face. He said, "What have I done? What have I done?" And that's it. But his face is nothing but accusation. It's very accusatory of, you made me do this. This is your fault. You didn't protect us.
Yep.
How could you let this happen? And then I can't handle it, and I'm going to shoot myself.
And that played out exactly the same way from the video game, which is why I was like, since you hadn't played the game, did you expect it to play out that way with Henry killing himself?
After he killed Sam, honestly,
and what was your reaction after
honestly, I thought my reaction was that was perfect. Like, it logically, I can see it. 1, 2, 3. When it happened and Sam got shot, I wasn't necessarily thinking, what's Henry going to do next? I was in the same, like, shock that Henry was. Was like, was
like,
holy
oh,
shit.
Yeah.
What? This is crazy. I can't believe he's dead. I was so close. I was like, got so close to them.
Yeah.
All this stuff. And then you see him turn on himself. And then I'm like, oh shit.
Yep.
I see what's going to happen now, a split second before he does it. And then as soon as he shoots him, it was just like that. I mean, I think all that fits character.
Yep.
Like, I loved it. Was a perfect, like we said, like, short storyline that changes everybody that's involved, but it won't be moving forward and everything.
Yeah.
And it's very going back to that point of the Henry and Sam being a reflection of what Joel and Ellie are. It really puts into perspective if Ellie would have been bitten and turned or something. Well, actually, she can't turn, but if she were to die, let me rephrase that. If she were to get hurt or die, it's a reflection of what turmoil Joel would have to go through again.
I think when they bury the two of them, after that happens, and then Ellie's very, straight, like, let's go. And then Joel's standing there staring at the graves. And I think that is what I think that's the conversation he's having in his head, of realizing how close he has become to her and how much she is family, and what would happen if this were to happen. I don't know what I would do.
Well, because, I mean, even the car ride leading into Kansas City, he even says that you're not family. He is keeping an emotional distance from this kid the entire time. And I think you're absolutely right that this is one of the turning points of, fuck, I'm closer than I want to be. I'm closer than I should be.
She is turning into family.
Yeah. I care more for her than I want to, because I don't want to go through that again. I will do anything to not. And yet now there's no way I can live without her. I think that this is the first bit of, I mean, because, Joel's not going to bury somebody just, to bury somebody. They're dead, and this world doesn't necessitate a burial. He's doing it for Ellie's sake. And when she just walks away and doesn't really, seem to care, outwardly. Then...
Well, so that's the thing. I think that moment took a big toll on both those characters tremendously, because Ellie for a moment believed that she could maybe save somebody with her condition and failed miserably. And so now it's that point again, just like, am I even worth anything right now? Like, what's the point?
I think that was the first kind of small moment where up until this, she has been cargo. She has just been following around people that are protecting her. Mostly passive. And then in that moment with Sam, she became a little bit of Joel. She became she sees them protecting people, and she started to protect somebody, and she failed. And it was the first time it's her fault. She wrote sorry on that thing because she really feels like, well, I'm the one that killed Sam.
You're right. Absolutely.
She was with him in the crowd or the attack. Like, everyone got separated. She was the one that was looking after him. She was the one trying to protect him. And then even after that, he got bit. She was the one that was trying to save him and heal him.
I mean, and there's that line right before that night between Henry and Joel of, it's easier because they don't have anybody relying on them. Little did Joel know, there is somebody relying on Ellie.
Dumbass
and that's
Joel.
Right. And that's, going to weigh on her. And it's just, it's devastating, and it's beautiful. And it's, again, something that makes this show and this game, this story so interesting and so much fun to watch, because there's so much humanity in just such an insane world.
Yeah.
So I want to, and that whimper that Ellie gives when Henry shoots himself. Holy fuck.
Oh, yeah.
That was this arc. These 2 episodes were really full of, this is really, really tough to watch. Like, is it almost fun? This is very emotionally draining.
This show wants us to be depressed.
Absolutely. So what is the arc with these 2 episodes? Because Matt, your whole thing was that you wanted to do chapters with arcs. And so I'm interested to know what your thoughts are on what this mini arc was. Was it that adventure? Was it that RPG type where we meet someone just to change our main characters, or was there anything else?
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think if I had to place an arc on both these episodes together, I think it's starting with the reluctant relationship with Joel and Ellie from the start, and how much closer they are continually getting by the end of this one, and then realizing through meeting Henry and Sam what they actually put into perspective, what they actually are starting to mean to each other.
I agree with this.
I love that. That's a great answer.
It's also the kind of the step of the growth, really, of Ellie into not just like I just said cargo, but like into what will be our main character in the future, and not too long from now, but you see her growing into more of an adult and more of experiencing what this world is. And you saw 2 different versions, I feel like, of the Joel and Ellie relationship. You saw the Henry and Sam, which could be, if if you take one path, you could turn into Joel, Henry and Sam. If you take another path, you could be turn into Kathleen, with the revenge and the anger. And it's like, which path are you really going to take?
Right. Right. I love that. I love that answer as well. I really do.
Mine's still better.
That's what it sounded like. That's what it sounded like when he reacted. That's bullshit.
He was up and cheering and clapping. You just cut that out, but
well, yeah. Especially since he asked me first.
I think it's also about the loss of innocence and what not just what it takes to survive, but what it requires, what sacrifice you have to give in order to survive, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally.
A lot of growth from Ellie's character.
A lot of growth.
And also, like, up until now, it's been mostly, Tess died of infected. Bill and Frank died, but by their own hands of old age and everything. This is the first time, like Joel said at the very beginning, when they're in the campsite, you got to watch it for people. And this whole arc was people versus people. Yeah. And it was the damage that the other humans can do to you. Yeah. You don't just have to be afraid of the infected. I know when we first left, you were like, oh, they're supposed to be all infected. Oh, this is so cool. There's no infected. Kind of like, oh, there's no danger. Whether there is danger because it's beyond the infected.
And maybe it's more dangerous than the infected, right? Because these are people who think and aren't just reactive, right? These are cold, calculating.
And frankly, the infected saved their lives.
Oh,
If the infected never popped up,
yeah,
they'd be dead.
yeah.
Yeah. Point for the infected.
No, point for Matt, Geoff.
Point.
I don't know.
Point for us all.
Point for Cammy.
Yeah, it's the last thing is it is it's people to people and what they can do to each other. It's about trusting and losing people. It's about you can lose people you just met and it still means something, and that doesn't mean you shouldn't at least give them a chance. Because Joel's whole thing is keep everybody at a distance, one for safety and two for the emotional aspect of it. But you do need people to survive this world. You do need to interact and get along with and ultimately trust each other.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, on that depressing note, everybody go out and do something that makes you happy, because holy shit, that was depressing.
Yeah, that was a toll. That took
frankly,
a lot.
guys, looking ahead to future episodes, it doesn't get much better.
No.
Yeah, it gets darker.
This is,
we ask harder questions. We ask more moral questions. Yeah, it's
all right. So
that series is awesome.
That's gonna be everything for chapter 3. Chapter 4 will come out in the future, covering which episodes. Who knows? We still need to figure that out.
It'll be a surprise.
It'll be a surprise
at least
for everybody. Episode 6.
Very minimum episode 6, but possibly more.
Oh, I also wanted to say, Matt, shout out to your friend Miranda for being my one fan and appreciating me as a third person addition to the podcast. Other audience members are encouraged to let what we watch know how much you love Geoff in this podcast. And yeah.
You're here. I feel like that's enough. I don't think we need to shower you with praise. What, just because you let us into your place, you let us use some of your equipment?
I give you some beer and water.
I was going to say I didn't get shit this time. I forgot I got water. Thank you very much for that.
Almost attacked by a cat.
Attacked with love.
Several times. Yeah, well, it's too bad that love could kill me.
All right, speaking of Brandon dying from love, we're going to head out. Thank you, everybody, and bye.
Bye.